from across Southern Africa. It's always so lovely to have you here on the third Monday of each month. My name is Nale. Welcome to Corporate Leadership Network. This is a forum for leaders from across corporate clubs right here in Southern Africa. We've covered so much already on Corporate Leadership Network. The program kicked off in September where we spoke about the benefits of Toastmasters in your professional life. Last month, you will remember Distinguished Toastmaster, our Program Quality Director, Andrew Tsuru, spoke about how to create quality learning and development sessions. I'm very excited about tonight because part of creating those quality learning and development sessions is being able to attract guests to our sessions so that we can have those quality sessions. And part of attracting guests is marketing to them. What are you doing as a club to market your club and attract your colleagues as guests to your club? Today, we're going to do things a little bit differently, Toastmasters. Instead of having a speaker, we're going to have speakers in a roundtable discussion. These are leaders from across corporate clubs right here in South Africa. So please sit back, relax, get your questions ready as we go along this discussion. I'm sure you're going to have questions for our speakers. Drop them in the chat box, and who knows, we may even give you an opportunity to unmute yourself and ask your question live right here on Corporate Leadership Network. Let's get started, Toastmasters, by introducing our very first speaker in this five-way round table. He is the Vice President of Education at SBM Toastmasters. It's in Division M in Malawi. It is a closed corporate, so it doesn't allow people from outside. You can come as a visiting member or as a guest from outside, but you cannot join this club if you're not from Standard Bank in Malawi. Welcome onto the virtual stage, Noel Mbale. Noel, lovely to have you with us. I'm going to ask you the same question I'm going to be asking all the five leaders as we welcome them onto the virtual stage. And the question to you is, why is it so important that us as clubs, and especially as corporate clubs, that we not only market our club, but we attract our colleagues as guests to our club?
Thank you, Maud, and good afternoon to everyone, fellow Toastmaster leaders. I think it's very important for us as Toastmasters to have guests. One of the reasons is that when you have a gold nugget, you don't want to hide it from your friends. You want to share it. So Toastmasters has given me, as a leader and fellow Toastmasters within our group, an opportunity to be able to learn in a safe environment. That's something that we need to spread to our work colleagues and friends within the company. The second reason is also that from an organization point of view, a Standard Bank in Malawi, there's need for return from investment. So for return on investment, the club needs a pipeline of members to go through the learning curve that is required so that the company can get those investments. How does the company get those investments? One, it's through quality meetings, meetings that keep time, people that keep time. People are able to do quality presentations, and all this Toastmasters offers. Thank you, Maud. I don't want to take too much time. Back to you.
Thank you so much to you for not taking up too much time, but I love the mindset that the leaders at Standard Bank Malawi have on the return on investment, which is quite important. Is for some of us, we're blessed that our companies are paying for us to go on this. And for some of us, not quite. But either way, we want to create those quality sessions, and we can't do that if we don't have enough members. And we're not going to get enough members if we're not getting our colleagues through these virtual or in-person doors. So thank you so much for sharing that perspective. We're definitely going to be unpacking a lot of the strategy that you guys are employing as SBM right in Malawi. So thank you so much. Our second speaker, who we're going to call onto the virtual stage as part of this roundtable, she's a past vice president of membership at SFS. I'm going to say that again. I wasn't elegant the first time. She is from FSCA Toastmasters. It's in Division A, right here in South Africa. Please welcome onto the virtual stage, Julia Masike. Julia, it is lovely to have you here all the way from South Africa. Same question that I asked Noel. How important is it for FSCA to market the club internally and to continuously be attracting guests to the club? Over to you.
Thank you, Maud, and good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests as well as visitors. So Maud, it's a corporate club and we had a lot of challenges. So what we figured out in our club is that a lot of people know about the existence of Toastmasters International, but they don't know what Toastmasters is actually all about and the benefits of Toastmasters. So what we've decided to do is we've decided to have these development sessions to introduce to the team, to our colleagues, to our guests, the benefits of Toastmasters so that they can fully understand what Toastmasters is all about. And the fact that not only are you going to improve on your public speaking skills, but there's a lot of things that you can get from Toastmasters, which is negotiation, there's leadership, there's organizational skills. So what we've done is we've opened the doors for our colleagues, to our guests, to see that there's a whole lot that you can get from Toastmasters. So I think for us, the importance has always been open the door for your guests, for your colleagues, so they can see there's everything for everyone in Toastmasters.
I love that perspective of opening the door for everyone. And even if it's virtual doors, getting as many people benefiting from Toastmasters as possible. Look, Toastmasters is not a secret society. It's not a secret, even at your company. And you want your colleagues to know about it. You want your colleagues to also benefit from this organization as much as you have. So thank you so much, FSCA, for that very interesting perspective, which we'll get to unpack this evening. Our next guest who will form part of this roundtable is from an open corporate. Now, an open corporate is a corporate that allows guests and members to join from inside the organization and outside. It's quite an also unique experience that we have right here in Toastmasters Southern Africa. Maybe you're from an open corporate. Let us know in the chat box if you are. This leader is the president of Proconics Toastmasters Club. It's right here in Division S in South Africa. Please welcome onto the virtual stage, Bongani Maluleka. Bongani, it is lovely to have you with us. I see you've been spotlighted. Lovely to have you with us, Bongani. Same question that I asked to both Julia and Noel. Why is it important for Proconics to market the club and to attract guests or to attract your fellow colleagues as guests to the club?
Thank you, Maud, and good evening to fellow Toastmasters and leaders. For us, actually, the benefits is twofold. One is personal development, right? Personal development and career development. So personal development, obviously, if you have a happy employee who's always striving to improve self, you have a happy employee, a satisfied employee, right? They get to develop in their career as well. If they develop in their career, it also means you can retain that employee. So for us, it was always linking, because Proconics is a engineering company. Engineers are nerds. Most of the time, they are very good technically, but when it comes to them articulating themselves, it becomes a problem. So we have to link it to that. We also realized that in the beginning, there was not much uptake, but as other members of the organization that were seen as not being that articulate were joining and participating, we actually got numbers from other people that thought they could not see the value proposition at first. So it's very, very important to sell the idea and sell Toastmasters value proposition, and also invite people as guests to come and see what Toastmasters can do. Thank you, Maud.
I love, Bongani, how you said that you guys are a group of nerds. I hope they're not here listening to you calling them these nerds, but be it as it may, even as nerds, we need to be able to articulate ourselves. No one wants to speak to a nerd who can't speak. There's nothing worse than that. So Toastmasters is definitely a place that can help these nerds and every other leader who will walk into your corporate club, whether they're a nerd or not. I love that perspective that you've put across there, Bongani. And then we're going to move over to our fourth leader. She is from an closed corporate. It's based in Harare, Zimbabwe, in Division Z. Her name, she's currently the Vice President of Education at her club. Please welcome onto the virtual stage from Old Mutual Harare, Noma Zulu Mthethwa. Noma, lovely to have you with us all the way from Zimbabwe. Same question that I asked to the leaders. Why is it important that Old Mutual Harare markets the club internally and continues to attract guests?
Thank you very much, Maud, and hello to my fellow panelists and hello to everybody that's here today. So that's a very pertinent question, Maud, because you become what you behold, right? And I really truly believe that, you know, in order to attract people, we need to model to them who we are, and we need to model to them to see, okay, if this is my development path, if I want to gain confidence, who is it that is modeling these things? Who is it that is, you know, showing us how to do these things? And I always have this ethos that says you cannot lead somewhere to a place that you yourself have never been. So at least when people see you and when you invite them and they see you going through the motions, you know, people just think you up and become this perfect speaker or this confident person. And yet it actually takes a lot of time. You're dropping balls, you're saying things that are, you know, may not make sense, you know, but the confidence grows with time. So it's really, really critical for people to actually see the real thing that happens in the background. When you market to them, they want to see and be able to resonate with what it is that we are trying to you know, to show them and say, this is what you can become, this is how you can grow, this is how you can learn. So I'll keep it that short and say it is very critical for us to, you know, to market to our fellow colleagues and, you know, try to attract them, because yes, inadvertently, everybody is trying to build themselves one way or another. And Toastmasters, I believe, is actually the, you know, the best tool for that. So yeah, thank you.
It is absolutely one of the best tools, Norma. You are correct. And I love how you said you become what you behold. I don't think we realize this as Toastmasters, but you are a walking billboard. Whether it's virtual or in person, people see you, they see Toastmasters. Whether you're Toastmasters or not, they see you in Toastmasters and they want to be like you. I don't know how many times people have come to you and said, I really want to be like you. That's because they see the traits and qualities that Toastmasters has helped you develop, and they want those traits. And so you become this walking billboard, as it were, for his club. And so it's important that when you're marketing the club, ultimately you're marketing the skills that is Toastmasters. So thank you so much for that perspective, Nomazulu. I really appreciated it. Our final speaker, I just want to confirm if you managed to make it into the room successfully. Silvio, are you with us at this time? You are here. See you on my screen, loud and clear. Thank you so much for being with us. Here is the president of Kula Toastmasters. Now, Kula Toastmasters is a Standard Bank club that's based in Division I in Maputo, Mozambique. And I want to share a very small story about Kula Toastmasters. This club was formed for a very specific reason. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. Sylvia is going to tell you all about it. Currently, they have 39 members. If you go onto their dashboard, Kula Toastmasters, 39 members. I once attended a meeting there and there were 59 people on the call. 59 people on the call. I know he's going to tell us a lot about what they're doing, but Silvio, lovely to have you with us all the way from Kula Toastmasters. Same question that I've been asking all the other panelists is, how or why is it so important for Kula Toastmasters that they continue to market their events, continue to attract guests to the club? Over to you.
Thank you, Maud. It's important for us because on a daily basis, most of us, we use English as our interaction language with the clients, although our main language is Portuguese. Then we had to join Kula to improve our language, improve our skill, how to communicate better at the beginning. That was the main idea. But what we have realized, people start joining Kula even to become, to perform better in their daily jobs, not only because of the language. And the way we advertise it's a very inclusive way, because back in days, we only had the one room. And today we advertise in order to make sure that everyone in the bank makes part of Kula. That's the main idea of us, and build the relationships and make sure that English won't be a barrier on a daily basis.
Imagine being in a Toastmasters, or imagine having Portuguese, for example, or one language as your language of business. In this case, in Standard Bank Malawi, in Standard Bank Maputo, they speak Portuguese. And having this Toastmasters environment where you get to learn your English, it must be a very, very unique experience, especially for them. And to have 59 people on a call at any given time, I'm very interested to hear from Kula Toastmasters, some of the strategies that they're employing. So leaders, thank you so much yet again. I can see you all on my screen very nicely. Lovely to have you all here. Let's get the conversation started now that we've set the scene for what is to come. For many of our clubs, and I'm sure for you, maybe not for you, Bongani, but I'll come to you in a second, is we found we were not always in this environment. We found ourselves here by chance. We used to meet in person, and then things just changed. The world got overhauled. We were launched into an online environment. For us, Toastmasters was new because we're used to hugging, shaking hands, and doing all of those things. And now we're stuck on Teams like we are tonight. What were some of the challenges that you've had to deal with as we navigated being online? And maybe I'll start with a lady this time. So Julia, maybe you can go first. What were some of the challenges that FSCA had to deal with as we moved online? Because I'm sure it must have affected the club in some way or the other.
Thank you, Maud. One thing that we've learned throughout the time is that change is inevitable. And when change comes, you need to come up with a strategy to suit the current situation. And this is what COVID has taught us. So we, as the leadership of the FSCA, had to adjust to the new normal. And one of the challenges that we were facing is that we had a situation where our members, our colleagues were working from home, and they were caught up with work, and the workload was increasing, and they had all these home responsibilities to concentrate on. So that was quite of a challenge for us. And I know that we used to use the banners, we used to use our text. I don't have my tag right now. So what we did is we approached the management and we said we have what is called the SLA, which is an intranet. We could literally post our meetings on the screen. So when you are away from your computer, ICT would actually generate that message to say, we have a Toastmasters meeting coming up this weekend. So if you want to join, you can contact the VPM or the president of the FSCA club. So we use the internal resources that we have within the organization. And we also try to speak to management to say, we really, really want you to be involved and to see how FSCA is going to benefit your staff since you are the sponsor of this project. So that was our marketing strategy. We utilized the ICT resources within the organization to make sure that the club is well known and we continue to get membership.
Great, very interesting perspective. Let's move to a gentleman. Sylvia, you were last. Maybe I'll bring you second. What were some of the challenges for Kula Toastmasters, having met in person and now we're thrust into this online environment? How did the team navigate that? And what were some of the new strategies that you now had to bring about now that we were online? You're on mute, Silvio.
All right. At the beginning, it was quite challenging because it was something new for us. It sometimes happened, we send the wrong link to the people, and in the meeting we start asking, where is everyone? Actually, we just send the wrong link. So then we have to learn how to do it properly and make sure that everyone has the right link to attend the meetings. But that was probably the only challenge that we faced, because we saw it as a big opportunity to be more inclusive. As we are holding the meeting in one room, and we didn't include the rest of the country, only for those who are based in Maputo. But even in Maputo, only those who were at the main building. With online meetings, we managed to include all the country, central region, northern region, and make sure that everyone from these regions invites someone to attend the meeting. So that was that's what was one of the biggest achievements that we have. That's why you always in our meetings you'll see 50 people, 60, and sometimes we haven't even reached 100 people in the meeting. So it was a great opportunity, aligned with the strategy of making sure that people can see what are we doing in Kula. So it wasn't that, it was a challenge at the beginning, but a great opportunity as well, just to be more inclusive for the rest of the team of the bank.
So something that was seen as a challenge actually became a great opportunity for your club, because now you could suddenly reach a group of employees that you were not able to reach previously. Very interesting perspective. As we continue with this conversation, leaders in the virtual room, let us know your questions in the chat box. What were some of the challenges that your club had to go through when we moved to the online environment? And how did you navigate that as a club? Did you navigate it successfully? What were some of the strategies that you had to kind of re-engineer to make it work for your club? Please let us know in the chat box so that we can continue to empower each other together. I'm going to move now to a lady, since we're doing it. We've got 2 ladies and 3 gentlemen. Norma, what were some of the challenges your club went through when we moved online? How did you navigate it as Old Mutual?
So that was very interesting because it was also the time, just like Julia mentioned, that people were working from home. And, most people were not really using their webcams, on their machines. So first of all, it was also, very unfamiliar. People were very unfamiliar with how to use the equipment that was there. And, if you didn't have, if your machine was not enabled to have a mic and so on, so we had all those other technical issues. But eventually those, got ironed out. And then obviously now the whole confidence of saying, okay, how do I now use this, this new space that I'm in to actually go ahead and do my projects? Try to bring people, say, you can actually use this as an advantage, stand in front of people, you're using your machine to communicate. So, and then of course, sometimes we don't really have that very good, bandwidth. And so you have issues of data and you've got issues of poor bandwidth. So it was really a challenge, but I think we have been working around those issues, and so far so good. I like the fact that Sylvia also mentioned issue of inclusivity, and that actually worked in a big way for us. We had members that were based in Bulawayo and other members in other cities as well. So we got to have, more members now participating, coming in. And then, of course, because now we're trying to make this as visible as possible, sharing our club meetings on our internal WhatsApp group, on our internal emails and so on. We got lots of members coming in. I'm not very good with the numbers that, people that we've had, or record, number of people that we've had coming into our meetings. But I think people found it easier as time went on. We actually embraced it. Of course, there were a few problems that I mentioned earlier, but yeah, this is where we are now.
That topic of inclusivity that you brought out, Sylvia, was quite an interesting one, because I've said it at a lot of clubs that I've visited, is this online environment has opened up the Toastmasters economy, as it were, because I would not have been able to visit all the clubs that I have visited if it wasn't for the online environment. And so, yes, it's a challenge. Yes, it's not what we're used to, but it's also opened up that inclusivity that Sylvia speaks about, because now we're able to visit clubs that we were not probably able to visit if we were in person. No, some of the challenges that SPM has experienced during the migration to online.
Yeah, thank you, Maud. I think one of the main challenges was that we had to stop meeting. And as a club, from the leadership, we brainstormed with the people and then came up with the teams meetings. But before we came up with that, we had to go and visit other clubs that had already started online to learn from them how they're managing it. One of the interesting things during the process was that we actually changed our meeting time, because the first online meeting, yes, there were a number of people, but I think the timing was not right. So we changed the time of meeting to around about 17 hours to 18 hours, which suited a lot of people. And this we gathered from getting consensus from the team. And as everyone has said, it actually opened up the club to more people to be able to meet online. I think those were some of the things that we gained. And also from a marketing point of view, there wasn't too much different that we did, because we were already using email as a notification for our previous club meetings when we were face-to-face, as well as our WhatsApp groups were already there that we're using. So that didn't change too much, except maybe you wouldn't pull someone in from the meeting, say, hey, come and join me. Thank you, Maud.
Interesting perspective from you as well. I know that there's some clubs that maybe made use of, you know, when you walk into a company, there's the reception area, maybe you would put your banners there and now you can't do it. Again, leaders, I'm interested to hear from those in the virtual audience, what were some of the challenges? Because I know it must have been difficult for you during this time. I don't think there was any club, community or corporate that was spared from this lockdown period, and we all needed to change our strategies. I know for my club, I'm from a community club, the very first meeting, and I was the president at that time, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what platform to use. We tried the free Zoom. It would kick us out of 40 minutes, and our meeting was 2 hours. It was so difficult. And then we had people that were resistant to it. It was new to all of us. But now, 20 months in, it feels like we've been doing this forever. So I love the fact that it was a challenge to all of us probably, but we've all found some kind of opportunity and way to navigate around it. Bongani, I left you for last intentionally, and that was because your club only chartered or only was registered now this year, February. So you're less than 10 months old. You were in this online environment, you found it here, but it also has its challenges. What have been some pro cons that you've had to navigate as the president of the club?
Well, over and above the technical issues that have already been mentioned, actually we've had a cyber security issue with one of our maybe third meeting or so. It was actually quite scary. I think one of the guests or someone who had ill intentions logged in and they tried to destabilize the meeting. It was this squeaking sound. We could not get where it was coming from until one of my club mentors, who was also in attendance because it was during the early stages of the club, texted me and told me, he actually said, "Chief, you are being hacked." So what we needed to do was actually log out of the meeting and log in again. What we've also started doing now, after that meeting, because we've learned every session has a Zoom master, someone to look out for all of these things. And we also have password protection, where we have like a waiting room where you have to admit who's coming in and sort of some basic controls that you need to put in place. I think the other thing is also reduced focus and productivity. For me, I've had the privilege of actually attending before chartering this club. I was part of Secunda Toastmasters. I also attended Midrand Toastmasters as well. So I've had the privilege of attending physical meetings and virtual meetings. What I find is that it's very, very difficult to sort of control what people are doing behind the mics, you know, because you can't see. It's very easy when you are giving on a physical platform a speech, because you can broadcast a signal to your audience and see how they are reacting. But if it's a virtual space, you don't know what some of the people here have shut their video. You don't know whether they are on their phones, they are paying attention. So that's that barrier. It's very, very difficult to control that. So those are the challenges, but it's a new technology, it's a new space. We have to find ways to deal with it.
The 2 points that you've mentioned, Bongani, are actually quite pertinent because it happened a lot in the beginning, is cybersecurity. Now, I'm still seeing a lot of our clubs putting the meeting links on social media, and I want to encourage clubs, especially corporate clubs, not to do that. Rather send people in calendar invites or send it in your member groups, but don't put them on public social media platforms. We've seen stuff like Zoom bombings. I don't know if they happen on Teams or if that's possible, but just be mindful of those kinds of things when you share links. You'll notice for this forum, I always share it via a calendar invite, and that's because cybersecurity is real, and someone could just come here and take over the session and won't know what to do, and that could happen at your meeting as well. So just be mindful of that, especially when you're attracting your guests, even as colleagues, because we don't know them, and what we don't know, we don't know. So just let's also be mindful of that. And also, I love what he spoke about, the reduced focus. Tonight, even, a lot of our leaders have their phones or their cameras turned off. I don't know if we're saving on data or if there's a problem with our cameras, or maybe we don't look good. So we're scared to put on our cameras because people are going to see us. But remember something, leaders, and this is something I learned very early on in this journey as we moved online, even outside of Toastmasters, is now that we're having to do business online, trust becomes the trademark, or becomes the economy. And because I can't see you, if I go in and my video is turned off, yes, there's my profile picture there, but we don't really know who's behind the profile picture, and that affects trust. So just be mindful of that, not only in Toastmasters, but also when you're doing business and when you're trying to attract your guests. They may know you from the one or two people may know you, but if you're standing on the virtual stage and you're the president and your video's off, it doesn't do well for trust, and it certainly doesn't do well for business. I'm glad that the panelists tonight have their cameras turned on, because at least now you're able to put a face to the name and see these leaders that we're speaking about. And hopefully one day you will also turn on your video so that we can also be able to see you. I've loved the conversation.
Maud,
yes?
Apologies, we can't see you. We have a black screen.
Apologies, I'll turn off my video. It's probably the bandwidth of the session just for a little bit. Am I audible though, Kirsten?
We can hear you very nice and clear, Maud, but we can't see you.
Okay, that's not a problem at all. I've got a picture, leaders. I am here. I'll definitely turn on my video from time to time. I've got another question that I'll throw at each of us or each of you is regards to the lead time. Because remember, we want our guests to come to our sessions, but what kind of notice are we giving them to come to our events? So maybe, I know I'm going to try and change up the order a little bit. So maybe, Norma, you can go first. In terms of lead time, in terms of sending out your invitations, in terms of marketing your events or your sessions, what kind of lead time are you telling your guests or telling your colleagues to come to your sessions? Because that also affects if people are able to come or not.
So interestingly, Maud, I was the VPPR for our club last year. And, when I went through the VPPR, masterclasses, I was quite haphazard at first because I wasn't really sure what I was doing. And then, of course, we were given the best practice of 2 weeks, even more, and then you keep following up and so on and so forth. And that worked because I was a VPPR at the time. Now, when you're VPE, wow, it's a whole new ball game altogether. And, and also, with the growing, when we kept, being online and so on, people kept getting busy. I don't know whether you people have, you've noticed that, there's been quite a lot of busyness, with people lately, and people are always in meetings. So there was this kind of online fatigue, and you start getting people, dropping off and not really showing up and so on. So yeah, I started off with the 2 weeks, lead advance, and then, you get people saying, okay, I'll be there. You come back after a week, then the next thing, even on the day of the meeting, you have people saying, no, I've got another meeting. I'm sorry, I didn't give you. So for me, on the corporate side, because I have people that seem to be quite hectic, I'm always following up every other now and then just to make sure that, if you have committed, let's have you come on board. But this is one of the challenges. So I don't specifically have a lead time. I think I'm just, always on the ball, as it were, but yes, the best time would be the 2 weeks, and then a week later, and then a couple of days later, and a few moments later as well. So I try to send emails, email reminders with everything so that people don't have to look for anything, this resources. I try to make sure that I've done it for you and you just have to show up and do. So yeah, I've got my work cut out for me.
You indeed have your work cut out for you. I don't know, but I see all the leaders have their videos on. So maybe with a show of hands, who has a specific strategy in terms of lead time? Or are you following similar to Norma, where you're kind of gauging, you're doing it 2 weeks before, 1 week before? I'm going to ask you, Silvio, because I know your club is quite unique in terms of the meeting frequency. So maybe you could tell us what kind of lead time you guys have at Kula Toastmasters. Over to you. And you're on mute. Another thing that we've had to do in this online environment is our colleagues are on mute, so their mouths are moving, but we can't hear them. But that's okay, part of the learning experience. How does it work at Kula Toastmasters? Because you have a different meeting frequency from a lot of our corporate clubs.
Yes, actually we do the meeting.
Leaders, I'm not sure if it's I who has frozen. Can one of the facilitators just wave at me if Silvio has frozen? Okay, so Silvio that has frozen. I'll pick up the question for you because I actually do know the answer to it. So at Kula Toastmasters, they're quite a unique experience because that corporate club meets every single week. Yes, you heard right. Kula Toastmasters meets every single week. So it's important for them that they keep the marketing constant and ongoing. Hopefully, if Silvio is able to get his connection sorted out, it'd be interesting to hear from the horse's mouth in terms of the lead time. So maybe if one of the team members could try and reach out to him and let him know that he's having a connection challenge, and if he could try again, it would be lovely to hear his perspective. Let's move on, leaders. We'll come back to him. So is there any other leader that has a specific strategy in terms of lead time, or is it similar to Norma? Okay, I'll take the silence or the unmute. Bongani, you've unmuted. Does Proconics have a different strategy?
It's not too different, but over and above what she mentioned, it is 2 weeks. For us, what we then do, we then block it off your calendar, because I feel that's very, very important that it's blocked off your calendar, because life happens. Other things then come through. And then if it's not blocked on your calendar, then you might assign that space to something else. So over and above the reminders, we immediately send out an invitation to the next Toastmasters event, so that when you open your Outlook, it's there, it's looking at you, and it also reminds you that you have demarcated that hour for the sessions. But it's also similar. We also follow up every week, follow up days closer to the event. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And let me tell you what I love about that. You would have noticed for this particular forum, Corporate Leadership Network, that I've been sending you calendar invites. And I'll tell you the reason why. And it's similar to what Bongani was saying is life happens. And anything outside of office hours is really a drag, let's be honest, after sitting at our desks the whole day. And so if it's not in my diary, for example, it doesn't happen. And I know it's probably the same for you. And gone are the days where we could send people a text message or WhatsApp and expect them to come through the doors. Now that's not going to happen. But when there's a pop-up that comes, it's almost a reminder that my day is not really over. I've got something else happening at a specific time. And another tip that you could follow, leaders, is when you're sending out the calendar invites, don't make it 15 minutes before, which is the standard Outlook. Try and make it like 2 hours before, and then an hour before send another one, because people forget. Even have something coming out on the hour at the time of the event, just so that people remember and so that it's top of mind. I love Danielle's comments relating to you, Norma, that it's a rat race. I think it's this time of the year now for us on the Southern Hemisphere. It's almost holiday time for us. It's been a long year, a tiring year. We're tired. Our leaders are tired. They confirm and then they back out at the last hour, and we always need to have backups. But I suppose that's also part of the experience in this learning environment, is that, you know, things change and things change at short notice. Thank you so much, Danielle, for your input on that topic. It's very, very, very grateful for that. Now that we've spoken about that, I want us to get leaders into the meat of the discussion, and that is the tips and the strategies that the leaders on this call and anyone watching this recording can use to market to your colleagues. I'm going to give you each an opportunity to speak as a table topic. Maybe we'll start with Julia, because Julia, I think Julia, you've gone first before. Let's start with you, Bongani. Bongani, what are some of the strategies that Proconics is using to market to the colleagues, especially for you, because you're an open corporate, you have people from inside the corporate and people from outside. Over to you.
Okay, so the whole idea behind Proconics Toastmasters was to attract very young engineers that have started their careers. Usually you're just fresh from university and you just get thrown into this world of work where you have to establish and find yourself, right? So I used to work for Sasol, and I was part of the graduate development program, and I saw how difficult it was for young engineers to sort of establish themselves, especially in the very first few years of their coming to the workspace. So we heavily rely on linking Toastmasters to the career development plan, so that we can show you that if you follow this structured curriculum, and you're struggling with communication, maybe at the end, if you stick it through, you might be a better engineer and a good speaker. So we link it to career development. And the other thing is we have member moments as well. So every Monday and every Wednesday, so we pick out one of the Toastmasters and then we profile them. And using that, we put it on our social media platforms, WhatsApp, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Usually it generates leads. People ask, what is this Toastmasters? We see it being advertised every now and then. I want to know about it. So we take the leads and then maybe probably organize a meeting to explain the value proposition of Toastmasters. We also have something called Bring a Guest to Toastmasters. So we extend that to our ESCO and say, please just bring one person, usually. Extend it to the ESCO and extend it to the general members of the club to say just one guest, and then let us see if we can convert that guest into a Toastmaster. Yes, another thing that we actually use is explaining the value proposition of Toastmasters to new employees. So our company usually have inductions of new employees. I ask for a slot there to speak with our HR people, where I actually explain the value of Toastmasters. That has actually worked very, very well. And usually there you can see people that actually need help with communications, because we also give them a platform to introduce themselves. So while watching there, you can see this person is struggling and they can gain a lot of value through joining Toastmasters. So we usually extend the value proposition there as well. So yeah, those are the strategies we use to market our Toastmasters.
Very lovely and very dynamic strategies that you're using. Thank you so much. Julia, what are some that FSCA have done, especially in this online environment, to attract guests to the club?
Okay, thank you, Maud. I think there's a question.
So maybe what we'll do in terms of questions, leaders, if you have a question, please drop it for us in the chat box so that we can weave your question into this conversation. We're very mindful of time and we want to respect yours this evening. Please drop your question in the chat box and whoever it's directed to, and we'll certainly get that leader to answer that question. Some of the strategies FSCA is employing, Julia, over to you.
Yes, so thank you, Maud. Our strategies are more or less the same as Bongani's, but the implementation thereof is different. So we use word of mouth to advertise the club to our colleagues. So I bring my peers, my colleagues, I always tell the people that I work closely with, and I always tell them about Toastmasters. And in our departmental meetings, we report on how Toastmasters has been beneficial in our working environment. So every HOD will request me as a member of Toastmasters to explain how the employer is actually getting a return on investment, because remember, this is an investment made by my employer, so they need to see that return on that investment. And we've also now adopted a new strategy of using the company's resources, like I explained earlier, and we have a company's newsletter that we use to advertise the club, where we write articles. And the last thing that we currently are in the process of implementing is inviting the top executives into the club. Like, for example, if we can invite somebody within the HR department to speak at our Toastmasters meeting about wellness and health, or mental health, or whatever topic that they have within the HR department. And if we have a person, because we are the regulator of financial services, if we have an HOD within the banking space, would invite that HOD to come into the FSCA Toastmasters meeting to explain to us the different process of acquiring a banking license, thereby exposing them to what Toastmasters is. And we're hoping that they stay at the beginning of the meeting until the end. So one strategy that we are currently using is to attract the executives into our meeting so they can see how Toastmasters is beneficial to us, and it can be beneficial to their direct employees.
Lovely strategies there, FSCA. Thank you so much for your input, Julia. No, what about SPM? Some of the strategies that you guys are doing as a club?
Thank you, Nord. There's so many strategies that are similar to what my colleagues have given. And I think the key one is on the graduate trainees. So for us, Within the graduate trainee program, we've actually inbuilt as part of the soft skills Toastmaster as one of the activities that they need to complete. So it's very much linked, as we said, to the goals of the people. The other one, on word of mouth, that is also so key. So whenever someone has a role, they are encouraged and they come as part of the camaraderie, bring in their friends, which are their work colleagues, to attend the meetings. But more importantly, is after they attend the meetings, we must make sure that there's lots of fun in the meetings. There's learnings in the meetings. That's one of the strategies that we always do at SBM Club. Thank you, Maud.
Thank you so much to you. No, love the insights and the strategies that SBM is following. And whilst we get to the other leaders, what are some of the tips and strategies that you're following at your club to attract your colleagues in this online environment? Please let us know in the chat box. And if we have time, we'll certainly give you an opportunity to unmute yourself and tell us those by voice. I'm going to move over to you, Norma. Old Mutual, what are you guys doing to continue to attract guests? Or your colleagues as guests?
Thank you, Maud. So I think my fellow colleagues have also touched on a couple. The only thing, though, I think, just as Julia had said, that is also in the implementation. So whenever we send out our invitations, we've got an internal group-wide WhatsApp platform where we can send out make use and send out these invites. We try to also, personalize the invites sometimes when we send them out. And you sort of have people coming in, and when they do come in, we just make sure that we sort of personalize, we make it lively, we make it fun, like my previous speaker just said, we make it as fun as possible. We also follow up. I think that's another issue. We try as much as possible to follow up. And when we do get people that are keen and they're interested, we do then also have mentors that then, work with the interested guests to a point of where they want to then, take the next step and then become members. And we continue to work with them. Of course, it really then needs you to keep following up as well, like I said. And, we just, try and personalize and affirm, because I think most people have an issue with confidence, and yet that is the most common thing. We're all trying to grow ourselves. We're all trying to find ourselves, in this space and trying to develop ourselves and become better people, better leaders. And, like I said earlier on, that, you cannot lead people to a space where you yourself have not been. We use that, when people see us and they are attracted to us, we say, okay, fine. This is what, like, oh, you're like this, you're so confident. I'm like, and it wasn't always like that. So we tell a story about how I even got here in the first place. We personalize it, and then, you kind of then try and say, just come in. Most people say to me, Norma, I'll join the meeting, but please do not pick me for top, the impromptu speeches. Don't do it. I actually have a colleague that then when their name got called up, coincidentally, there were two people with the same name, and she thought, oh my goodness, I've just been caught up, and she dropped off the meeting. And I just looked over my screen. I was like, no, it wasn't you, So, but we try to make sure that you respect that and ease people into the meeting, and they kind of enjoy watching and learning. And then you just keep nudging, here and there, and then you get some people that will say, okay, all right, I'm up for it. So I think just trying to be personal about it, because people are busy, and there is a sort of an issue with confidence, but yeah, I suppose being relentless as well, because people do need a gentle nudge, and then they need a kind of a bigger nudge and all. So I think, yeah, that's what I can add on to what my colleagues have said.
I love how you said they need a nudge and then they need a bigger nudge, especially in this online environment. Like, our colleagues forget, they're tired, and a whole lot of other things. So you also want to keep these Toastmasters sessions top of mind by using some of the strategies that were employed, that have been mentioned here tonight. I'm going to move over to Sylvia, but before I do, I want to remind the leaders on this call that if you have a tip or strategy or question that you want to pose to any of the panelists, please drop it in the chat box so that we can certainly get that answered for you. Sylvia, you had dropped off the call at some point, and I want to give you an opportunity, because at Kula Toastmasters, you guys meet every single week So your marketing needs to be almost double what everyone else is doing. What is the lead time? What are you guys doing at Kula in terms of marketing the club, especially because you meet every week? Over to you.
Yeah, what we do actually is just at the end of the meeting, we prepare the next meeting and we use all the available means. As Julia well said, from the ExCom members, they advertise our meetings. We even put them on the poster, inviting people to the sessions. And we all mostly the head of human capital, she's also part of the meeting, and she helped us a lot. In terms of, we use Facebook, we use most WhatsApp and our emails. So these makes in Kula is like every member counts, and there is a strong work as a team, and we don't leave it only for one person. Like this person will organize the meeting. We all chase guests, make sure that everyone knows about Kula, because for us as a bank, Kula end up being a platform where people start learning not about the language, not about even at the personal level. People start feeling that, okay, now I'm improving as a person. I know how to listen when people talk to me. I know how to speak. I know how to prepare my presentations. And so that end up being very helpful. Thank you. I don't know what's going on with this thing.
Thank you so much to you, Silvio. I love the perspectives and the different ideas that are coming across from all the leaders on what they're doing. I see George in the chat box says, at FNB Inspire, we've deployed a section we call Moments of Relaxation, where we have music by any colleagues. Some of the time also can have ExCo being a special guest with 5 minutes of motivational speeches. These are some of the ideas, leaders, that I'm hoping you'll take back to your club, deconstruct it as a leadership team, see what will work, and implement some of these ideas. I think there's been really some very interesting perspectives coming through from all the leaders and different ideas on how we can do this. One thing that Silvio mentioned, which is quite important, is the involvement of different leaders within your team. And I know that the Vice President of Public Relations is chiefly the driver of marketing within your club. But I want to ask you, leaders from corporate clubs, how important is it for you that all leaders participate in this marketing of the club, so that it's not just resting on the shoulders of the Vice President of Public Relations? Anyone can go first. Maybe Norma, you can go first.
Thank you, Maud. It is very, very important. I definitely do believe that if you believe in something, you will definitely, push it. You will exude it. You will show an excitement about it. And luckily for me, I think club members that are very excited about Toastmasters and where it has taken them and where it is, the platforms that it has brought them up on. And it's so easy when you post something and you kind of ask them, can you just kind of support me and support our VPPR by, nudging a few members and, speaking to other people. Once you send out an invitation, you see that she has forwarded the invitation to people that she feels are going to do great. They'll benefit from this. And it's so exciting when you have people like that. It makes it so easy. And I think that, just to sum it up, involvement is key to a call. And if you're called to be a leader, you will definitely be involved in every aspect of the meeting. You don't even have to wait to be invited, especially where you're trying to share this gift of Toastmasters. Yeah.
What about the members getting involved?
Yeah, thanks, Maud. Yeah, for us, it's everyone needs to take their part, and everyone does. For example, in the WhatsApp groups, there'll be the poster of the meeting. Then you have one of the leaders makes a comment after the meeting. Wow, that was a great meeting. It brings that excitement. They talk, oh, what happened? And the conversations start going in the various official WhatsApp groups. That also keeps up giving buzz to the Toastmasters events that we have. So every leader plays their part, supports, and always word of mouth works so wonderfully. Thanks, Maud.
I love that idea of word of mouth. Leaders, a lot of the times, especially with us as corporate clubs, we're maybe not permitted to be on something like Facebook or Twitter or any of the social media platforms. So a platform like WhatsApp becomes a really powerful tool that we could use, and never, ever, ever discredit word of mouth. If you've had a good experience going to Toastmasters, you're likely to tell someone else about it, who will tell someone else, and will tell someone else. And that is how that ball of momentum gets built. So never ever discredit word of mouth. I want to ask you in the chat box, does your club or does your colleagues in your department, do they know about Toastmasters, or are you keeping it a secret? Let us know in the chat box. It's not a trick question. I'm just interested to know, is it a secret at your company? Is it like a society that's almost like something secret that happens after hours? Or are we allowed to speak about it? Are you speaking about it? Do your colleagues know? Do the other departments know? Do you make a noise as a leadership team about Toastmasters? And what are some of the strategies and tools that you're using? Leaders, we've got 5 more minutes left. So I want to ask us each for 30 seconds to give our final comments on this topic about effectively marketing to our clubs. I'm going to maybe start with you, Bongani, this time. 30 seconds, over to you.
Thank you, Maud. I think for me, what I have seen works the best, at least one of the strategies that we have employed that seems to be generating leads, is every meeting, after the meeting, maybe summarize the points for the meeting and put it on LinkedIn. Just to say, okay, for example, we had one of the theme was 12 Rules for Life by Dr. Jordan Peterson, one of my favorite people in the world. So 12 Rules of Life, you then go through the summary on your LinkedIn, and then it was the theme of the event. And over and above public speaking, you also learn life lessons. So if you can do that, people see that Toastmasters is not just about speaking. There are other areas of improvement that can be gained. You can generate leads from that. Thank you, Maud.
Julia, what about you? 30 seconds, over to you.
Thank you, Maud. Make your meetings exciting. If it's not fun, it's not Toastmasters. Thank you.
Short, sweet, to the point, and no. Over to you.
Be involved. Everyone needs to spread the word. Let's not keep this gold nugget to ourselves. Thank you.
Norma, what about you?
Thank you, Bongani. I'm definitely coming to your inbox for tips. Oh my word, you are on fire. So personalize. It's got to resonate. Bongani spoke about, it's not only about speeches and speaking, or maybe I'm mistaken. No, I think you said it's not about speeches. It's also about life lessons. So it's got to be personal. It's got to resonate.
And last but certainly not least, Silvio, final comments.
I think, Silvio, you're mute.
Sorry. We make it visible. We make the benefits of being a Toastmaster visible. As an example, for most of the meetings now at the bank, the MCs or the host of the meeting, it's always a member of Kula Toastmaster, because what we are doing is going far beyond what we thought that could be. So it's make it visible, and that help others to incentivize others to join us. That I will say for now.
Leaders, there's been so many nuggets that have been shared on tonight's session about marketing Toastmasters to your colleagues and attracting guests. The strategies, we've given each other so many ideas that the leaders are employing at their clubs. Go back to your teams, let them know about Corporate Leadership Network, play back this recording, and take some of these strategies as we wrap up the calendar year. A lot of us will be taking our summer breaks and coming back in the new year. This is the perfect time as an EXCO team to deconstruct some of the ideas that we've used here this evening, see what will work, and employ them in the new year as we all plan to exceed expectations of our members, because every member matters. I love some of the ideas that came across. Use all the available resources that you have at your disposal. Bring guests to Toastmasters, explain the value proposition, never disregard the power of word of mouth. There's also WhatsApp, which is a great tool for us to use as corporate clubs because many of us are not allowed to use other platforms. And this is not a secret society. So let your colleagues know about Toastmasters. Don't keep it a secret. You've benefited. Let them also benefit from it as well. I love the idea that Julia spoke about inviting your top executives. They are there. Your company is paying for the service. So invite them. Let them come as guests. Your colleagues want to be seen by their managers. So that could also be another way that you could market your club and get your people involved. Make your sessions fun. If it's not fun, it's not Toastmasters. Personalize it. Be involved. Be visible. Don't keep Toastmasters a secret. This year, we're all about every member matters. And your colleagues, even though they're not yet members of Toastmasters, they could be your prospective member. So make sure that you're marketing to them in the language that they understand so that you speak to their hearts and so that they can come as guests. And who knows, that might just be your next member. I've had so much fun. I know the leaders have too. So I just want to say a very special thank you and a virtual round of applause, please, for our panelists tonight. Non Mbale from SPM Toastmasters, Julia Masike from SFSCA Toastmasters, Mongani Maluleka from Proconics Toastmasters, Nomazulu Mtetwa from Old Mutual Harare, and last but certainly not least, Silvio Lutsure from Kula Toastmasters in Mozambique. It's been such an honor, leaders, hosting this corporate leadership network. This is our final one for this calendar year. We will be back next year, 2022, on the 4th Monday of the month. I'm so excited about it. We'll be dropping all that information in due course. And don't worry, we'll send you a calendar invite so that you don't forget about it. Thank you so much. If you've got any other further questions, these panelists will be added to our WhatsApp support group. I'm going to ask Barmaid to please drop the details. If you're not a member of our dedicated community, Corporate Leadership Network, it is a forum where we continue these conversations. So please engage with us, join the group, be part of the conversation, ask these leaders whatever questions you may have. Let's continue these conversations as we continue to market our clubs and attract guests, especially in this new year, so that they can also benefit from Toastmasters as much as we have. I've had a lot of fun. Leaders, thank you so much for your time. It's 18:02. We're not about wasting any time. The link has been dropped in the chat box if you're not part of the group. Until we meet again in 2022 on the 4th Monday of January, please take care, be safe, fellow Toastmasters. Have a good evening and the rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.